yeah, people will draw the conclusion that maybe it improves ergonomics, maybe it helps with the grip and so forth, but the actual fins themselves add no functional value to the experience except that they feel good, to touch. Here's a mechanic if you think about this as a case study, here's a mechanic that adds no utilitarian value to the experience, but it's turned OXO into this great innovator in the space of kitchen appliances, which, you know, the vegetable peelers have been around for forever. And the fact that they just fine-tuned this one mechanic actually gives the aesthetic perception that they're this huge innovator. And they'll be the first to admit it, too. So the sum of all of this is that there exists a point in the perception of output where the output of a system returns or seems greater than user input. And that sweet spot, through a very iterative design process, will feel like magic. And so I mentioned that there's a two-factor design theory. And what I just described is the first of the two factors. And there's a second factor, which involves four things: cognitive frame, reputation, trust, and symbolism. And these should all sound really familiar to people in the branding space. If we think of this as an analogy to that high bridge study, that first factor, the mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics, and fine-tuning the mechanics of an experience, that's kind of like the bridge. That's kind of like the feeling that the bridge creates in the people crossing it. And the second factor is kind of the role of the actress. The actress, or the role that the context plays, the brand plays, is about providing this cognitive frame, or the conclusion that this mechanical stimulus provides. And so those are the two factors in this approach. And so I'm not going to go into the second factor because we'd be here all day, but you kind of get it. Well, the thing is, I know that a lot of you are print designers. And what I talked about seems very, very screen-based or very product-based. You're like, well, what does this have to do with me? Well, again, what I'm here to do is kind of give you a glimpse about the direction of some design technologies. And what I'm purporting today is that there are a certain set of technologies that will kind of frame print versus screen, or screen versus object, environment, and so forth. That it's no longer a dualism. That they're merging. And the way I'm going to show this is I'm going to give you kind of a little glimpse of what some of my colleagues at Microsoft are working on. And I'm actually going to close with a little clip about this, and about this whole sort of convergence thing of print and screen and so forth. And then I'll hand it over to Arturo. But the way I'm going to describe this kind of glimpse is, I call it the fifth element. And I want you to think about the fifth element in terms of the pixel, just the little tiny pixel. And the way we understand a screen pixel today is there's a red, a green, and a blue. I guess it would be, you know, if we were doing CMYK, it would be the sixth element, but that didn't have the same, you know, it didn't sound as good. But anyway, so think of the three elements of the screen-based pixel: red, green, and blue. Now imagine a fourth element that we introduce, which would be a sensor, maybe infrared or capacitive touch or whatever. But then there's a fourth, you know, like with the iPhone and so forth. There'd be a kind of fourth thing. Now imagine this fifth element that's introduced into this pixel. And that element would be a camera. And so this kind of magical little pixel, imagine that it's easily produced and that it takes just a modicum of energy to run. And this pixel could be applied on anything. It's kind of like an ink, but it could be embedded in glass, it could be put anywhere. What I'm going to show today is, I'm going to close with a short video clip, which was created by colleagues of mine in a group at Microsoft called Office Labs. And in it, you'll see this kind of convergence, and you'll see how this kind of magic pixel might be applied. And also to kind of start thinking about the dialectic between print and screen and so forth. So I'm going to close with that, and let me play this video. Oh, I want to say one more thing about the video. It might seem like science fiction, but the intent, if you look at the dates on some of the screens and stuff, it says 2017. And the thing about these technologies is they're hardly science fiction. I think they'll be appearing sooner than we all think. So that's all I had to share this morning. Thanks for listening.